Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be talking about an interview with Herman Hulst and what came of that interview, specifically the live service titles that a lot of people seem to be concerned about. He does address some stuff there, as well as talking about the future of PlayStation games. We will also be talking about some new information about the ABK merger, a lot of interesting stuff surrounding that as well. I'm sure you guys will find it interesting, but before we jump into that, if you could do me a huge favor, show your support by liking the video, subscribe if you're new, share the video if you find this informative. Now let's jump into this interview with Herman Hulst. We're going to talk about some key points here that were pointed out. So speaking to GI Biz, Hulst claimed that even though SIE has a significant number of live service games planned for the coming years, that doesn't mean they'll all be modeled on Fortnite or Destiny. Now, it's important to note that they talked about planning to have 12 live service titles in the market by fiscal year ending in March 2026, which is obviously quite a lot of titles. So obviously some people were thinking, hey, that can be concerning, but it seems that he's addressed this pretty much head on. And in quotes, he says, "We understand the competitive environment that is out there and the time investment from players that live services offer, and we want to deliver the highest quality games. There is a risk that we talk about live service in generic terms as if it's a single genre or even a single business model. PlayStation Studios are making a variety of games that could be referred to as live services, targeting different genres, different release schedules, and at different scales. We are also creating games for different audiences, and I take confidence from our track record in creating worlds and stories that PlayStation fans love." So clearly, saying, hey, these live service titles aren't going to be like what you seem to think or what the typical thought is for live service games, but also that they're going to be like varied. There's going to be a variety in them, and also they're not just going to dismiss what's made them come as far as they have, which is great single player games. So it's more of like a reassurance that, hey, we're exploring new areas, but at the same time, we're not forgetting what we've built up until now. And that to me is reassuring. I'm all for them trying new things because I think once you take the cuffs off, right, you allow for more creativity. You allow people and studios to do everything they vision, right? So I think that that's important in creating the best experiences possible. It makes a lot of sense in that regard. Mind you, I am skeptical. I absolutely am skeptical about them dropping 12 live service titles by the end of March 2026. That's a lot of live service titles, depending on what they are, how they are. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Now, he did also talk about a few other things, like buying Firewalk, and the entire purpose behind it was they just see the value in them and what they offer. A lot of positive stuff around that. Even though we haven't seen what they've made, there is a lot of optimism in Herman Hulst's words, which is refreshing, right? Obviously, I mean, you don't go and buy a studio or anything like that if you don't have any confidence in what they're doing. So I feel pretty assured that we're going to be impressed with what's coming down the pipeline, but obviously, live service again, I do wonder if they can execute it, but I'll give them a chance. I'll give them a fair crack at that. They've clearly proven themselves across the board with other things, so surely they have some sort of idea how to approach this in a better way than most other companies have, especially with Bungie under their umbrella. Now, lastly, I also want to talk about him addressing one last thing with PC games, right? Because it was kind of assumed that, hey, these live service titles naturally are going to go to PC, and pretty much confirmed that it's going to be a case-by-case basis. It's not guaranteed that every single live service title will drop on PC and PS5 day and date, although I personally feel they are likely going to go that route with games like The Last of Us. I do think that in order for that game to really thrive, it's going to have the biggest player pool possible, and I think with it being on PC and PS5, it opens doors for that. But on top of that, there was some discussion of it possibly being a PS4 title as well. So if that's the case, we got PS4, PS5, and then maybe PC as well, but we'll see what happens in regards to that. But really interesting interview. I mean, there is a full interview. They talk about a lot of stuff, the Bungie devs that broke off and created Firewalk, and, so it's like, there's a lot behind this. So I think that it's a very interesting read, but definitely not an article I would read entirely to you guys. But I'll leave it linked for you to check it out. Now, next we're talking about the Microsoft ABK merger. And as we know, it was blocked by the CMA, but it turns out that things are a little more dire than even that, as the UK regulator of Competition and Markets Authority may end up blocking any attempts by Microsoft to acquire Activision Blizzard for at least 10 years. And this was spotted in the CMA's final 400-plus page report explaining its decision to prevent parties from merging. So page 336 of the CMA's final report states that it's normal practice to prevent companies from merging for at least 10 years if an acquisition has been blocked, unless there's a change of circumstances that warrants reconsideration. So while this is not written in stone that it's 100% blocked and it's not going to happen, if it does end up not happening like most people are expecting now, it seems that this is not going to be a viable option for Microsoft to go down this road again. Now, that doesn't mean that other companies can't walk in and try to buy up Activision, but it just means that Microsoft is not going to be able to do that, which makes it very interesting because if they wanted to reattempt it, that's not even on the table anymore for at least a decade. And in that time, so much changes in a decade that I think that, them having any leverage would be lessened by then for them to be able to buy Activision. So it's a lot of stuff in the air, a lot of moving parts, a lot of things that we would have to assume and speculate on. So I don't want to dive too deeply into that, but this is an interesting bit of info that I didn't previously know, and I don't think most people knew until somebody looked this up or read the report and put it online. So interesting stuff, and it seems like this deal, in my opinion, is probably dead now, and I don't think they're going to be able to come back from it. I could be wrong. They could appeal it and it works, but I doubt it. I don't think. If I was betting money, I would bet that it's dead. But that is all I have for you guys in today's video. Really good one. We talked about Herman Hulst's interview and then now this. Love to hear you guys' thoughts. Let me know in the comments. As always, if you have not liked the video already and you did enjoy it, consider hitting that like button. If you didn't like it, hey, hit that dislike button. That's okay with me too. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and you can follow me on Twitter. Link will be in the description. Thank you all for watching. I'll talk to you on the next one. Take care.